here today, and today I want to talk about the Peacemaker Season 2 finale, which is getting marred online and sort of in the reviews, kind of sort of. It's getting like 6 and 7s, as you can see here, and I think IGN gave it a 6. And it's been a really weirdly praised season, honestly. I know people in the middle were kind of waiting for it to pick up, and the IMDb ratings kind of reflect that, honestly. Like it started, kind of stopped and start in the middle here, and then bam, 2 episode marathon, and then season finale was just kind of. And for some people, me personally me, I liked the season finale. I liked it a lot because the thing people are most criticizing it for is lack of cameos, lack of development in the larger DC universe, which is obviously always going to be an issue with projects like this. And I'm not even going to blame them, to be completely honest, because the way James Gunn was talking about this finale, he made it seem like it was more than it really was, which isn't a slight on Peacemaker, to be completely honest. It's more of a slight on James Gunn, and I'll explain why. So obviously, I think in the little podcast he does after every single episode, or releases after every single episode, I think he explained that the season 2 finale would have the most surprises here. This is just, I didn't really feel like watching it to get that point, but I think I saw something like that on Twitter. If I'm wrong, please tell me that I'm wrong. But obviously, this was like a big thing even before the season finale. This was on August 28th, which is, I believe, is the first episode came out. Yeah, 21st, second episode. So, yeah. Obviously, it was a big thing, and it did happen. Lex Luthor did show up, and his cronies did show up in the last episode, and the second to last episode. So, he did make good on that promise, but people thought it was going to be more towards the end of it. Even now, not setting up the CU, not realizing that he already really did set up Man Tomorrow with these plot points with Rick Flag Sr., and Salvation. And honestly, I don't think people realize that Peacemaker might be becoming a bigger player by the end of this season. Especially considering that there is not probably going to be a Peacemaker Season 3, according to James Gunn. Now, I think a major issue with this, James Gunn, is that he said that Peacemaker Season 2 would set up Man of Tomorrow very heavily. So, of course, people thought that, well, Superman, the villain from Man of Tomorrow, might be showing up. And yes, Lex Luthor did show up, and his partnership with Argus was a big plot point in the final few episodes. But the date right here, September 3rd. And then, yeah. The day before the third episode comes out, he announces that Man of Tomorrow is coming out 2027, July 2027. And it's weird that he would announce the movie in the middle of the Peacemaker show that's leading into the movie. Now, who knows how long he's had Man of Tomorrow done and worked on and finalized, but the way that he announces things, it would make sense that it was September 3rd, yes. September 3rd-ish is around the time where he got Man of Tomorrow done, like maybe a month before, a few weeks before, a day before, is where he really was finished with the working on Man of Tomorrow. Maybe that's just when he wanted to announce it. Again, this is just speculation by me. But obviously, Peacemaker Season 2 has been announced even before the announcement of the DCU and James Gunn, and it was a big talking point about what would be happening to Peacemaker and its characters. So obviously, he had to do a lot of workaround, a lot of rewriting and redoing scenes. I don't even know if he redid scenes, but I did know he had to work around the inclusion of them to the DCU. Hence, like, the Justice League cameo being swapped out for the Justice Gang in the recap. Some other things just not getting mentioned. Some characters not being mentioned in season 2, I believe, had something to do with that. Because maybe he wants to bring what's his name? The guy who played he played Murn in the season 1. He might be coming back as Brainiac because he mentioned something about wanting to do that role a lot. So maybe having him and also being in Peacemaker season 1 might be one of the things James Gunn's gonna leave out. But anyways, so like I was saying, this has obviously been worked on for years now, and announcing a movie that you probably just recently finished working on, at least script-wise, in the middle of the release of the show is kind of making fans have different expectations than they should have. Me personally, I don't really get too invested in cameos and stuff like that. I watch Superman. I really like Superman, but it wasn't the reason I was watching Peacemaker. I watched Peacemaker because I really liked season 1. I liked all the characters. I wanted to see more of them. And this show was so good for one of the reasons it was so good, season 1, is because of the smaller scale of it. Well, yes, they were saving the world and stuff. It was more of like, it was just kind of a ragtag group. And that's why it was so interesting when the Justice League did show up at the final thing. It's like, yeah, they should probably be here for this. But, Peacemaker and his crew were there doing that. And in season 2, it should be more of that. It should be more of those small character moments, this group chemistry, all these like emotional beats coming together throughout 2 seasons of work, but people are expecting it to be more of the broader, the Rick Flag Sr. and the Lex Luthor and the Supermans and the stuff like that. That should be like the main focus, and it should be the surprises and the cameos and all that kind of stuff. They're turning Peacemaker into something it shouldn't be in their mind, but it's not their fault because James Gunn kind of overpromised. I feel like the way that they did the emotional moments, the way that they paced out those in the final episode. Some people claim it's like a bunch of music videos strapped together, but I don't really think that. I think it all really worked together, especially the flashbacks on the boat. The way it cut at the beginning was really solid. The whole slow build of the hardcore and Peacemaker romance story was really well done, in my opinion, throughout the whole season, and I think it really paid off well. I think Adebayo's story, I think her coming to terms with her relationship with her wife was really well done. I even think Adrian, who's been shafted the most this season, in my opinion, it's one of the things I'm disappointed with this season is, he didn't get too much until the final 3 episodes, but those final 3 episodes that he got were really, really solid, in my opinion, especially the last 2. Like, he really got his moment at episode 7, but even in episode 8, he got, the moment in the bedroom where they're all together. He's sharing his feelings with Chris and the 11th Street kids. I think that's a great moment. And he's obviously the biggest reason that, Checkmate can even exist because of his work before Peacemaker even started. So, yeah. I do like how he actually got to do stuff at the tail end of the season. Too little, too late, I don't think so, but it was close. They were cutting it close, but it eventually came around. Economos, I think, was done really well. He was always having this hidden kind of special heart thing going on for Chris. He didn't want to show his true feelings, but, he always put, his group's feelings before his own, which is good of him. He's a good dude, and I liked his character throughout the season. Yeah, the 11th Street Kids, in my opinion, really solid group. They were the sole focus of this. I think their moments in season 2, episode 8 was really well done. I think the new people on board, I think Judo Master and Flurry work really well because they were kind of slowly, well, not Judo Master. In episode 7, his heart-to-heart without a bio was really what did it for him, which is fair enough, and he also got thrown into the portal by Flag, and had all that going on. So it makes sense that he was a little reluctant, and it makes sense that he jump shipped to Checkmate. And of course, Flurry, he was not cool with it. His friends died as well because of Flag, so it makes sense. Sasha, I wasn't really, when I was first watching it, I was kind of like, wow, this seems really rushed. And honestly, I still feel that way a little bit. Her face turn was a little bit, on the nose. But, looking back at it, it makes a lot of sense. You can't really expect her to feel any other sort of way, the way that Rick Flag used her after trying to, after seducing her. But yeah. It makes sense in retrospective, but it still could have been done more subtly throughout the season. Obviously she wasn't cool with Economos bailing Peacemaker out earlier in the season, so the way that she felt about Chris and the way that Judah Master feels about Chris, I feel like they're coming together a little too easily, you know. It makes sense, kinda, but it just seems too easy, even though they do have good relationship with other people around Chris. Yeah. And I honestly think the cliffhanger of the season, I think it worked a little well. Would I have liked something from Earth X to come up? But yeah, maybe a little bit. But like I said, they're probably not going to do a Peacemaker season 3. So until that gets like reversed and we do get season 2 of it, um, season 3 of it, I don't think it's really worth bringing up because it's just going to leave people in the dark more than they already are. Like, I feel like Rick Flag Sr., he's going to be a big part, and so is the dimensional portals and salvation, all that. That's going to be a big part of Maya Tomorrow and the upcoming DCU universe. So it makes sense that that's the cliffhanger they wanted to leave on and didn't really do anything with Earth X. Because, yes, while in like a Checkmate spinoff or like something with Vigilante, it could work out that Keith comes back and maybe Harcourt from the other dimension comes back and it's brought up again. I just don't feel like it's gonna be mentioned for quite a while. There's a lot on James Gunn's plate that he's not really gonna tackle that right now. I think it was left in a fine enough state. We'll see how it works. Especially since, the portal's in Flag's possession now, so even if Keith does come through, it's not really gonna turn out too well for him, even if he tries. But we'll see. I think all that's probably still going to get settled, but it's going to be a while from now. Chris and Salvation, I have no idea what's going to come. I guess that's going to get settled in Man tomorrow. Or Checkmate, I have no idea what's going to happen to him. Figured that was going to happen. Rick Flag getting his revenge. I like how he didn't just cut and run. When I was like, well, Chris got bailed out pretty easily, I don't think Flag was just going to allow him to go to prison, go to court. He obviously wanted real revenge for his son. So I like how he didn't just drop that, because he kind of seemed happy-go-lucky with his results with the Lex crew in the finale. And I was like, oh, okay, so he's kind of just full on the villain. Yeah. And he is. He still is. He's still the antagonist of the season, really. And maybe of the DCU for a little while now. But I do like that he still had that personal vendetta against Peacemaker, and now he's really done him dirty. Overall, I really like the season, the highs and the lows. I definitely think this one had higher highs but lower lows than season 1. I know that's a little cliche, but it's true. I do think first part, like the first 3 episodes were pretty solid, and then it kind of 4 and 5 slowed down just a tiny bit, ramps up really heavy, and then it really hits an emotional high in episode 8. Which is good, which is solid, and it's fine. I understand if people got disappointed because of James Gunn's overpromising, and I understand if you are mixed about the finale because of it, but me personally, what I was watching for, I got a lot out of it, and I really enjoyed it. Please tell me your thoughts about Peacemaker, season 1 and 2, honestly. I'm really excited for when we get more with these characters. Can't wait for Man Tomorrow in 2 years. That should be a fun movie. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.